Casey's here, Pat's here, Robin's here, Donna's here, Doug's here, Fiona's here, John Kisco's here, Mike Zario's here, and Jeff Putnam's here. I don't know if I got missed anybody. No, okay. Can I have a motion to approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Who's that?
Joe.
Joe Kalesh is on.
Yeah,
Oh, Joe.
Close.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Second, Fiona.
Fiona. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, next, any public participation?
No, there's not.
No, okay. Item phase 2, the application and certificate for payment. You'll receive the document and outlined, as I always do, who gets paid and the amount. The amount this month is down. We're closing out some contracts. It's $841,443.63. Can I have a motion to approve that amount?
I'll make a motion, Donna.
Donna,
Second, Gary, second.
Gary? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Mike Zero, you have 6 PCOs.
It's a short month this month, but thanks to everybody for getting on. I appreciate it. 6 PCOs. So I'll start off with 670 R1. That is an owner contingency cost of $30,837. A few months ago, I think it was in either October or November, I had advised this group of a cost impact related to the engineering and the pipe grid installation in the middle school. If you recall, in your high school science lab, I think it's on the 3rd floor. We have a pipe grid system, Schedule 40 pipe with a bunch of fittings for labs to do science experiments, and then you have 2 rooms in the middle school, which are STEM and makerspace rooms, and then another science lab in the middle school. All have this pipe grid that we're about to talk to again. Originally, we had assigned the installation of the pipe grid systems throughout the project to our general trades contractor, which would be OWI Contractors. They had actually performed the installation of the pipe grid in the high school science lab room that I had mentioned before. SLAM's documents certain specifications, including the pipe grid, are called to be delegated design, in which the trade is assigned with seeking engineering services, to design, whatever it may be. In this case, it's the pipe grid. 2 requirements that, SLAM sets forth to in their specifications. Where this went awry is, our general trades contractor did not carry that, this delegated design, and, they weren't able to, in further research, able to obtain professional liability coverage that SLAM was looking for in their specifications. At that point in time, we needed to keep things moving, obviously, and we had engaged our steel contractor, Burrow and Steel, who has a little bit more success with professional liability coverage, obviously, because of structural steel, right? And they had stepped up to the plate to get the system engineered and ultimately, take ownership of the work that the pipe grid scope of work that was initially assigned to OWI. When Berlin Steel received the delegated design, we had OWI beef up or enhance the pipe grid system that they installed in the high school to meet the delegated design that OWI wasn't able to achieve. OWI at that point in time had already installed part 1 of part 2 of the entire pipe grid system that lives above the ceiling in the middle school spaces. So 3 out of the 4 spaces, or 4 out of the 4, they completed more than half of the work. But what they didn't perform, and which is why you're seeing a credit in this PCO of $4,800, they didn't perform the Schedule 40 pipe that the science experiments would use, the kids would use for science experiments in labs and such. So overall, the balance of this cost, Berlin Steel, 30 grand. This is for engineering services to design all of the pipe grid systems in the building, and ultimately, install 3 out of the 4 rooms, all being in the middle school in the recent turnover. I know that may have been a little complicated, so if you guys have questions, please jump in. We can move on to 703R1. That's an owner contingency cost of $48,821. This is related to, the central office elevator and how, the Board of Ed space kind of integrates with, your day-to-day school space. So the current programming for elevator 1, which is the elevator that brings you up, all 4 floors of the high school up to the central office, all of those adjacent doors and frames, hardware, security, fire alarm, access control, signage, unfortunately, at this point in time, does not support what the central office, feels is appropriate for separation between the 2 entities as our documents currently stand. There's obviously been a ton of conversations surrounding, how the proposal request and what we're pricing here, came to fruition. I was a part of the meeting back in the summer of 25 with, Rachel, I believe, from IT, representatives from, the Board of Ed and in the high school, SLAM and their consultants, all to discuss what, really was feasible, from an elevator standpoint and, what access restrictions look like. So we could put a price together and get the work implemented to enhance, security in the building, separation between, Board of Ed and student population. From a larger perspective, without, analyzing every piece of this, if I have business to attend to up in the central office, I'm parking, I'm walking into that side entrance door where there's, an AI phone or an A phone, I believe we call it. It's an audio and visual phone, where if I buzz in, somebody who's sitting up in the central office can unlock that door and let me into that man trap vestibule. Now that I've been buzzed in, I'm in that first floor vestibule, and now there's going to be a camera to see what I'm doing. I can't access any of the doors adjacent that lead you into the student population areas. That was already by design. I think all we're adding here for one of those doors is a door contact just to read if the door is open or closed. But I can now walk up, or I should be able to walk up to the elevator, press the button without swiping any card, and I'm only able to go to the 4th floor, which is where the central office is located. Part of this change will also implement a card reader within the elevator itself. So depending on what your S2 system access is, that's all driven by Rachel's group and what permissions I have. Can I get up on the 2nd floor? Can I get up on the 3rd floor, 4th floor, and such? All that's dictated by, your access control system, which is, manipulatable. That's a word. So I could go to any floor if I have access to do that. When I'm finally up to that 4th floor, the adjacent doors that, again, would bring you into the student population area, all those are being enhanced with, mag locks, we call them. Basically, it's magnetized to where, you're not pushing, it's delayed egress, you're not pushing through. And if you are, there's alarms that are sounding that, will alert people in the building that somebody passed through these doors that didn't have the credentials to do so. So, we're removing card readers, we're relocating card readers. Again, these mag locks have capabilities to de-energize, in the event of a fire alarm, should that occur. And then there's also additional signage, a part of this change to help direct people what's happening in the building in these areas. Between camera, low voltage wiring, door hardware, material access control, fire alarm, security, elevator programming, signage. This is, a very intense proposal request. And, there's definitely a lot of work that we need to implement here. And right now we're targeting April break to do that, to get everything installed, test it, make sure it's functional all before the students return from the break. So that's sort of an overview on the change for the elevator. Again, if you have questions, feel free to jump in and stop me. Next is PCO 705R1. It's a CM cost of $3,358. On the 2nd floor of Area H, there was an interesting condition at your clear story window sill on the east side of the renovation. It's more of an unforeseen condition related to a new column that was supposed to be installed in an existing masonry wall. That doesn't always work out well. So we worked with Slam to get a detail revised out of framing and jip board taped, adding some wall expansion joints to tighten that condition up. So,
Hey, Mike,
yes.
it's Gary Ucalito. I was going to go back
Hey,
to the
Gary.
last. Sorry, I tried to jump in, and
no
Glenn's on. I'm not sure which elevators you were talking about, but when we go to the superintendent's office now, they've
Mhm.
got to come down and let us in.
Yes.
Because, okay, were you referencing that? I mean, Berger can
Yeah.
probably answer it better than me.
Yeah.
He's the guy. But
Yeah, that's the same elevator. Right now, it's set up to where if you were to get buzzed into that first floor area, you got to swipe a card in order to get the elevator to come and get you. That's why they have to come down now and get you, because anybody who shows up without card access is really limited as it is and where they can go in the building. So this whole change is really solving that issue.
But was this a Kone design, or that's been short design, or is it our
I
fault?
guess it's more of a lack of design. The elevator programming part of this is really, $5,000 out of the whole $48,000 cost. The bulk of the cost here is from our security and fire alarm contractor, who's got to integrate all of the access control and get a card reader inside the elevator, add some more card readers outside, and pretty much also tie in the fire alarm component of that too. So the elevator side of it.
I got to ask a question. Where does the fire alarm component come into play here? The fire that elevator should. This is Glenn from Board of Education.
Hi, Glenn. Yeah, the fire alarm is separate from the actual elevator. If the fire alarm goes off and you're inside the elevator, already by design, that elevator recalls down to the floor that it's supposed to.
Correct. So where's the change involving the elevator?
The change involving the elevator is for those mag locks that I was referring to. They mount to the frames of the doors, and it's affixed to the door itself. So if you have a card, it'll demagnetize and open the door. But it's
okay. I joined a little late. I thought this was just related to the elevator. So there's other doors that are getting mag locks.
Correct. There's doors that meet up to the central office area where we got to enhance with extra door hardware and tie it into the fire alarm. If there wasn't a fire alarm emergency, you want people to get out of those doors and not be limited in egressing out the building, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, the mag locks are going. Mag locks are going. The ones that go into the school. Mag locks will drop on fire anyway.
Right. That's the fire alarm component. Right.
But this is for both sets of doors, then the doors that lead to the school and that stairwell that's right next to the elevator. Are we doing both doors? Like, what's the?
Yeah. So if you're up on the 4th floor, you have the stair 1 is right next to the Board of Ed entrance door. Those 2 doors will get mag locks, and then the other 2 doors down the hall, bringing you to like the 4th floor. I know the science labs are on the other side of the corridor, but if you kind of understand what I'm saying, so it's four doors total that kind of separate Board of Ed and student population. Will get those mag locks and tied into the fire alarm and access control capability to that.
So this was brought up a couple years ago before the building was being built, and Slam had kiboshed it because we couldn't do that because it's a path of egress. So and with the elevator, I got a problem getting hit with a change order on this because according to the plans, there was a sequence of operation on the prints that stated exactly what was supposed to be done. So this is either a Slam design error or someone else's design error that it didn't operate as specified. It was clearly delineated on the plans how the sequence of operation was supposed to work with this elevator.
Yeah, I think I vaguely know what you're referring to, but I don't think it's the whole situation. I know the
there's two situations here. One, the doors at the end of central office because people could come off the elevator and just walk into school. That was brought up 2 years ago before the school was even being built. That we have a security vulnerability there, but Slam kiboshed and said we couldn't make a change at this point. So now we're late in the game. We have to make a change, and now we got to eat the cost of that. The elevator is a separate issue, which was on the plans. There's a sequence of operation that's supposed to happen in coordination between the elevator contractor and the access control guy was supposed to happen. If they didn't do their coordination and catch this earlier, I don't think we should be on the hook for paying a $48,000 bill for something that was a design error.
Yeah, again, I want to pull you back just because the elevator part's a $5,000 cost out of the whole $38,000 cost. What's not included and was never included in the design was the enhancement of the door hardware and the fire alarm access control. I understand your point for the elevator, but I think it all kind of works hand in hand. If I wasn't a part of it at the time, but if Slam had squashed it at that point in time and it was too late to implement it, into the job, anything after that, obviously, that's why you're
it was-
seeing a cost, if that kind of helps explain it. But I do understand your position with it.
Mike, I could add some added flavor to this.
Oh, I didn't even see you, Ken.
Yeah, I just joined. I guess I had the wrong link, so I'm joining late. Apologize for that. So yes, you're right that the spec calls for coordination between the access control and the elevator contractor. I think that was done. I think where the missing piece was that in order to get the true functionality as we needed it to be, there was another keypad or card reader that needed to be put into the cab itself. That's part of what PR 85 has in the scope. But as Mike has said, the majority of PR 85 is added hardware on those doors, 4,000 and the doors going into stair number 1, plus signage to instruct users on how to expect those doors to operate.
Well, this was brought up before the building was even built, and according to Slam, it couldn't have been done.
Well, there is a code requirement that does not permit delayed egress hardware in educational occupancies. That's probably why we said that. But we had a conversation with the building official and the fire marshal prior to issuing PR 85, and they accepted this unique case to allow it for those doors.
Okay, that's our argument. Should have been done long ago. I don't see why the Board of Ed or Ed's committee should be hit with this one.
Well, at least maybe not the part that has to do with the wiring. I mean, maybe Mike can take a look at it, I mean, if there's a carve out for the Board of Ed not having to cover some of it, then that should be carved out, in my opinion. But I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. Glenn's really the expert.
I'm not really an expert, but
Well,
I just know
we're experts
just know
anyway
we-
else on this call.
we brought this up before the building was even being built, as far as access to that 4th floor. Someone can
Yeah.
come off the elevator and they can go left and they're into the school. It follows a different security protocol with someone coming in through the main entrance. And it was brought up and it was ignored and poo-pooed by everybody at the table. And here we are 2 days later, and now it's going to cost us what, 48,000? What was this one?
I don't think it was ignored, Glenn. It was, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. I mean, the door, when you first enter vestibule 1016, there's only one way to go, either back outside or up the elevator.
No, I'm talking about on the 4th floor. Because the sequence of operation was someone gets it buzzed in through the intercom, they hit the call button, that call button's only going to allow them to go to the 4th floor. Someone coming off that elevator can just take a left-hand turn without checking in, and they're into the school. That was a problem.
Correct.
So are there mag locks at the end of that hallway?
There are now with this PR 85, because, like I said, the code does not permit delayed egress hardware in educational occupancies, but we got a special exception toward the tail end of construction.
Right. We could have got the exception early on if it was okay. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Go on. Move on. I said my piece.
Well,
Done anyways, right, guys? I mean, we're looking at this stuff's ordered, it's being installed. I mean, I agree. This has been a conversation for quite some time. And we've been hearing on the Board of Ed side that we were not aware of the 48,000. We were aware there was a card reader that was back ordered. So I'm a little surprised to see that it was 50 grand. But at this point, to Glenn's point, it doesn't sound like there's much room to discuss this. It's already been approved and it's happening.
Well, I'm okay with it too, but I think, Mike, I would like to have you, I very rarely say much, but take a harder look and see if it's allocated properly. I don't understand it. I don't think anybody else on the call understands it, and you're probably the only person that fully understands it besides Glenn. And maybe Jeff, I don't know, but if there is a carve out for something that we're probably not responsible for, that should be at least, presented in my opinion. But I'm only one vote, so.
Yeah, I guess just for my point is when I do submit these change orders, they obviously go to Kemp's group first, and this one specifically goes to their consultant, their communication AV consultant, technology consultant as well, and they had looked at this, and we had made a couple revisions along the way that they had felt were appropriate to make, and this is the final document per se.
Well, yeah, but going to Kemp's group isn't what I meant, because if they put this together, it's the. Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah, no, I get it, Gary. Yeah,
I mean, I think there should be a little more oversight on this one. It's a lot of money, so maybe we can. I don't know. I know I won't be happy with this, but do we have to? If it's being done, we have to do something. But it's one of those things. If it goes back to, and I'm not blaming Slam, but if it's going back to Slam for them to explain what may have gone wrong, maybe we should look a little harder at it, because I do know Glenn knows more than most of us, and I don't know about Jeff, but it's a lot of money. So
I will say that there was also added camera in vestibule 1016 as part of that scope as well, which was not in the original documents. And that was part of added cameras that were put in the building, after getting into the building and occupying it and realizing there were a couple of spots that they wanted some additional observation for, that being one. And then there were door contacts put on the door from stair 1 on the first floor into the vestibule in the event that a student, decided to go out that way, that security would be alerted. And so these things were added to.
Well, not everything.
Improve the security.
Well, I'll just ask one more, then I'll get off. But so, Kemp, you're saying this is all on us? There's nothing to do with design?
I'm not
I know.
saying
I know things were added, but those things that were added, we should pay for. The things that were mistakenly designed or not designed properly, I think should be taken out of it. But I don't know if there is anything. So I'll let you say yes, there is, or no, there isn't, and then I guess we can move on.
like I said, I think there was one key card reader that should have been in the cab that was added to get the full functionality out of the sequence of operations that was in the spec.
Okay, how much was that?
I don't know what the breakout is of that.
It's kind of intermingled with access control and Kone, because once access control brings the drop to the elevator trough, and then the elevator guy takes it from there and plugs it into their controller. But yeah, I don't have an exact breakout of how much it was.
Said that the elevator piece of this was $5,000, so it sounds like the elevator piece of this, there's no fire department integration required or fire alarm stuff on the elevator. That stuff would already be in place. So the
Correct.
$5,000 for the elevator sounds like legitimately that was already in the scope of work. So if it just didn't get done, why is it in a change order?
Because the card reader in the cab was never specified to go in the cab. So now once they're already done and with their work and they've left site, for them to come back and, assist the access control guy to get the card reader in the cab, that's an extra, that's what they're hitting us for, essentially.
I got you. I just heard Kemp say that it was designed for this was required for the sequence of operations, and the sequence of operations were in the plans. So not a construction guy, I'm a computer guy by trade, but there's got to be some back and forth on that, unless there's some rule I'm not aware of. But if it was on the plans for the sequence of operations and the vendors didn't deliver the sequence of operations, I mean, usually that's a gap, and there's a gap there somehow. If we provided the sequence, how is that gap on Torrington Public Schools part?
If you remember, Kemp and Mike and Mario, we had a problem with Coney. They could do it because it was not a state regulation. So we had to switch something to get the fire marshal and the building inspector to approve certain things that the state would not approve.
Yeah, I don't understand. I'm going to leave it there. I understand. I don't understand, but I'm not this. I don't understand this process anyway. The systems.
I could do.
I wouldn't have
Mary and
done.
I can do more with Kemp and Mike and get back
Yes.
to you at the next meeting.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to the last three here. It's 722 R1. It's an owner cost of $51,357. At the time of bid, we had assigned the water source for, the abatement and demolition purposes, with the expectation that, we were able to use water from the existing building or, a local fire hydrant to, help for dust control or any purposes for abatement and demolition that, we need to do by code. Prior to the start of abatement and demolition, we had reviewed this water source assignment with, Aquarion and Torrington Water Company. And, they had said, we don't want you guys to pull, the amount of water that, you're telling us that, you need for all these abatement and demolition activities, off the city main because of its, due to the project's location in the loop. They didn't want to pull too much water from, residents upstream of the site. Again, we had to, react quickly. We had a building to take down to make room for, a parking lot and everything else. So we had our contractor haul in 2 frac tanks, with pumps and accessories and water hauling costs from a local pool company, to assist in their operations. The pool company was allowed to fill the water up at a location within the city that was acceptable to Aquarion and Torrington Water Company. So what this cost is really inclusive of is, 2 frac takes on rental for, I think it was 2 or 3 months, with the pumps that needed to pump up the pressure and accessories, everything that they need in order to get water out of those tanks to, assist in their abatement and demolition activities, and along with the hauling invoices that, we got from the pool company.
And I can comment quick. Sadly, I've dealt with Aquarion in Torrington. It took me a year to extend the water line 70 feet and to tie it into a house. If it was Torrington Water Company, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But Aquarion's they're just awful.
Yeah, it was really bad news to get when we were, a month away from starting, demo and abatement. We're like, you guys can't do this. And we're like, okay. Well.
It would have taken a year.
Yeah, Mike, it just had my curiosity because I work for a water utility. How much water did you how many thousand gallons did you use? Like 5,000 more or less?
Oh, that's a good question, Joe,
Just,
right?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, just because I don't know, I understand the area with the police station being close by, a lot of residents, the school, like
Yeah.
all that. Oliver, I don't know.
I
couldn't have
could
used
get
that
you
much
something.
water.
I'm curious myself. I could find out.
I find it hard to believe that you would have used that much water where they told you no. I mean, we get those calls almost daily for same purpose that you're doing. So I don't know, just
Yeah.
curious. That's all.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that. I don't know the exact number, but it'd be good to know.
Well, they did, I was on that project probably 8 to 12 hours a day, and they were pushing water all over the place, especially when I was demoing. They were making sure that the water in the hitting the building and all of that stuff. But there was a lot of water that was being used, and we'll check out the number of gallons.
It would be a lot because the
Yeah.
asbestos dust.
Yeah.
You can't let it get into the air. But Aquarion is just, they're thieves. Nothing like Connecticut water, right, Joe?
No, we're top tier. We are.
Yeah, those trucks they would have used, the Rapid Dairy or any of those guys. Those are like 4 to 6,000 gallon trucks per
Yes.
load. So I mean, that's to give you an idea, Joe. You're not talking about 5,000 gallons here. Those holding tanks were, I'm going to guess, 15 to 20,000 gallons. I mean, they were huge, weren't they? I drove by them at one
they're
point.
pretty big.
Yeah, that was my next one. I didn't know how big the frac tanks were. I wasn't really considering. I forgot about the asbestos, and that definitely requires a lot more water. So
Yeah, it's horrid.
Yeah, I think I could compare it to like a single wide office trailer. That's pretty much the size of them. They're pretty big. Probably a 12 by 56, something like that. So they hold a lot of water though. But
yeah,
PCO 745, this was a trade allowance number 21. We had assigned to the flooring contractor for about 10,000 square feet of water vapor reduction system. Based on the specification, we didn't use the allowance fully. So $48,999 is being returned to the project. PCO 749 is a CM cost of $1,439. This is the last fireproofing patching cost we're seeing on the project. So next month in February, we'll be able to close them out because that is the last change order for them. So
Thanks.
that is all the PCOs.
Could I have a motion to approve PCOs 1 through 6.
Can you, with the set aside that you're gonna look into the
Yep,
elevator further?
yep.
I don't know how to word that. Maybe Donna knows how to word that. I don't. So moved, I guess.
Okay, second,
I'll second it, Pat.
Pat. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ask a
Aye.
question. Is the motion to approve them all except the elevator one or to approve them all?
To get the elevator for April, we'll have to approve them all. We will give them, next month, we will do a report. Kemp will do a report, physical report for sequence of operation and the code that was, that was not permitted, but we got an allocation from this fire marshal and the building inspector. But if we don't approve that, nothing will be done. And we'll have to stay in operation.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I opposed? Okay. For the good of the order, anybody want to say things? Just say it out loud. I can't say who's going to say it, so.
I have a quick question if I could, Ed.
Yeah,
I was at our Board of Ed budget meeting last night. We saw that there were portable bleachers in the budget. And I was wondering if anybody had any idea what was going on with I thought those were in the state Eversource credit. I thought we were trying to buy all those bleachers out of that money. I was surprised to see them in the Board of Ed budget. I thought maybe you guys might have an update on what that list of items was looking like.
yeah, that was one of the list of portables, but we do not know yet because we're going out to bid for the concession stand in March. And we want approval by city council in April. So we don't know what the price of the concession stand will be. If it's within reason, then the first item that we want to purchase is the additional auto shop lift, and then the portable bleachers.
It's going out to bid for the concession stand.
Yes, we say it again.
Who's bidding the concession stand?
Well, the city is going out to bid. I gave them 8 to 10 bidders, and then the city will put it in the paper so anybody who's a GC can bid it.
Is it gonna be a PLA? Or is it open shop, or is it? I don't,
No,
I don't care,
yeah.
but it's a union.
It's going to be, you have to meet the requirements of pay because it's more than $100,000.
But
So it's union.
it's gonna be union, okay, because you don't need
Well,
that.
it's non-union can bid on it as long as
Oh.
they meet the payroll.
It won't
by
present
state.
we'll be out of the union will be out of there by then. It won't cause a problem.
Nope.
All right. I mean, I'm just asking. No rats will show
Yeah,
up.
no, they should be out. Yeah. So that's the situation.
I
Hopefully,
guess it's a city problem anyway. So
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions or comments or?
Yeah, I do, Ed.
Yeah.
This is Armin. I just want to say some good news. The lift was moved today. I didn't see the final installation, but it was moved. A lot of good conversation. Dean was very helpful. Mario was very helpful. The auto shop teacher was very helpful. It sounds like things are going well down in the auto shop and things are coming together. So a lot of positive, a lot of good stuff. That's all I want to say. Thank you, Ed.
No, thanks. And hopefully we'll get that other lift in by the summer.
thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments? Next meeting, March 19th. It'll be at Torrington School. I'll be back. Sorry, I had to take a vacation with my wife, or else I wouldn't hear the end of it. So
Smart move, Ed. Smart move.
yeah, yeah. So thanks for everybody getting on board. I appreciate it. Ellen and Kathy couldn't make it, so that's why I sent out the other note. So appreciate it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe. Thanks for everybody. Appreciate it. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, Donna.
Second.
That's why you get the big bucks, Donna.
Yeah.
Second from Armin.
Who is-
Armin.
Armin.